What's going on, Beacon Post community? Today we're here with mastering the ultimate network scanning tool. So today we'll be going over Nmap, the network mapper. It's a powerful tool used for system admins, ethical hackers, and cybersecurity professionals alike to scan and analyze networks. By the end of this video, you'll know what Nmap is, how it works, and the best commands to use. Right, so what is Nmap? Nmap is short for network mapper. It is a open source tool used for network discovery and security auditing. Whether you're an IT admin checking for vulnerabilities or an ethical hacker testing a system, Nmap helps you scan, detect, and analyze devices on a network. For more official stuff on Nmap, you can go to nmap.org to download it. If you're on a Windows device, and then if you're on Kali like I am, it comes pre-installed. But if you're using something like Ubuntu and Debian, I don't think it comes pre-installed, so you have to install it using the sudo apt install nmap. But then if you're running Mac OS, you should use the brew command, so brew install nmap. Very simple, pretty straightforward to install. I'm not going to go over that step because it's pretty straightforward, right? But step one is just running the basic nmap scan, right? So what this command does is the simple form of an nmap scan. So it scans the top 1,000 ports and protocols, right? And it analyzes the host to see just what's open. It doesn't give you any other details outside of just what's open at the device. And as we see here, we're looking at a device that has a lot of things that are open. If this was on the open internet, on the actual enterprise or what have you, you'll see that this device is probably highly vulnerable just from the amount of stuff that's open. That shouldn't be. We see that SSH is open on port 22, Telnet on 23, HTTP on port 80, and we see SQL stuff as well, right? Um, so for a more advanced command, we can do an nmap tech little s big S, and then the target IP. So for us to be 10.4.3.100, right? So what this does is it actually, we call this a SYN scan. So when we're making a connection, the first packet that is sent is a SYN packet. So this makes the actual connection itself, what I would call a half open, but it's really like a third open because there's three things that need to be sent to have make a complete connection. Either way, it is a lot faster and is less detectable. For newer generation firewalls, this is still pretty detectable, especially considering you're scanning 1,000 ports all at the same time from the same IP. It's going to be highly detectable, even though you're only using a SYN packet. They know to look out for it. They know Nmap exists. So for newer generation firewalls, I would say that this would still be detectable, even though it's quote unquote stealthier than the previous version that I used, right? To actually get the versions that are running on each of these ports to actually get a better idea of what vulnerabilities you can use, I will use a nmap tech SV and then 10.4.3.100. Again, this scan can get the exact software and versions running on each port. Super useful for vulnerability assessments, right? Also, sometimes people don't use um, they use extra ports and protocols. Like they might use SSH on port 22 and then put it on, you know, 65,000, right? That's an example. This will be able to detect that, even though it's not on the standard port for whatever reason. I'm not saying it's not a normal practice, but you can definitely see um, certain people, certain enterprises actually putting protocols on non-standard ports, right? It happens. But this also allows you to look up these version numbers and seeing what exactly is vulnerable. Just putting that into Google and figuring that stuff out. You see by the output, we have OpenSSH at 4.7. It's pretty old. See Apache running on port 80. Again, it's running very old 2.2.8. Right. A lot of this stuff is pretty old. So for OS detection, right? Nmap can do OS stuff. Again, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is pretty loud. So in the actual environment, they'll be able to detect you pretty fast. So this is also pretty loud because it's going again. It's still scanning all the ports. Every time I run these scans so far, I've scanned not all the ports, but all 1,000 ports as a default, right? For all ports, I can do a tac p-tac to scan all the ports, but that's unnecessary. Just take the scans longer, but that's something you can do. Something I wouldn't suggest, right? But for the Nmap scan, right, we do an Nmap tac O 10.4.3.100, right? So we'll actually see again. We'll see all the ports, um, and then we'll see that it'll try to give us the version to the best of its ability. It's not going to necessarily give you the exact version, but it'll get you pretty close. On the one I'm running, I'm pretty sure I'm running 2.6.11 if I remember correctly off the top of my head. But I know it's 2.6. That's something. So you see, it's pretty accurate. It says 2.6, and then OS details. It actually sometimes gives you a range. So again, my OS details fits in that range because it can give you the exact number, but based off of what it's scanning and what's open, it can give you a pretty close idea. And usually, when it's this close, right, you'll have the CVE usually covers all those variables if you can figure out a CVE, right? But again, it's not 100% accurate, but it's a great start to get you in that range, and it's um, pretty close usually, right? If you want to scan the whole network for whatever reason, again, this is still very loud, and I wouldn't suggest doing this. It'll be again the private IP 10.4.3.100. Keep forgetting that. Sorry, 10.4.3.100. Well, it'll be if you want to scan the whole network for whatever reason. /24. Nothing's in there, right? So I could do it all the way up to. Oh, this is /24. It shouldn't take too long because there's nothing else on this network. But as an example, you can scan the whole network, then see everything. Um, the whole subnet, I should say, not network, right? To list every active device on that network. It helps you for mapping. Again, this is more for system administrators type thing where they don't necessarily know everything that's on the network. They should before it gets on the network. But as an example, to say you're a new kid on the block and there's no maps created, anything like that, so you need to figure out where everything is. Um, there's a way to do that, and you'll see 256 IP addresses were scanned and 2 hosts are up. It'll be the Kali box and the box I am scanning currently. So there's nothing else on the network. So for detecting vulnerabilities, right? This is something else you can use in Nmap. So Nmap also has a powerful what we call the NSE engine to detect vulnerabilities. Um, so we can use it to detect vulnerabilities. I should say not. This is not the only thing you can use for. There is also like a banner script as well that can be used to scan for. Let me do this. To scan for banners, right? It can banner grab for HTTP, HTTPS traffic to give you more stuff. It grabs the robot.txt file for seeing what other pages exist on there, right? So it does a lot, right? But as we're scanning this device, this is going to take a while, so I'm going to skip over to the other tab because I already have the results here, right? But again, you'll see port 21 FTP. We see it gives you this very specific CVE. Backdoor was reported when the report date was, disclosure date, export results, right? And then it also gives you references as well, so you can actually go to the references and actually download the stuff. Metasploit's already installed on Kali, so you could use this in order to hack into. It's very useful. Again, it's not gonna give you something for everything. Like even though the SSH stuff is old, it didn't pull up anything. I'm pretty sure I can find one if I do a little research on my own. So it's not 100% accurate, but at the same time, it's pretty cool. It's pretty useful. Again, so you see a lot of different vulnerabilities. This is why it's going to take a while if I ran through everything, right? But um, it's not going to work here. So just as the results you see, it gives you a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff, a lot of information is very useful if you just have no idea and you're stuck. I like it a lot when using character box, especially for the easier boxes, where you can just scan and see what's running and see what vulnerabilities you could potentially exploit. Um, so that's a good thing. We can also do any combination of these things. So just as an example, if I wanted to do a secret scan but still get the versions of everything, I can still do a nmap. Sorry, no caps. Nmap tag S, little s, big S, tag SV, and then again 10.4.3.100. Add again for port to get all ports. I mentioned this before is the p tag P to get all ports. I don't want to do that. Just for the example, just for time's sake, I'm just gonna scan it on port 22, right? But you can do any combination of all these, and these aren't all the things that you can do with Nmap. This is just a taste, but these are the most important. I think I would suggest and use on a daily that I use. The other thing that I would suggest is also using time. So again, going back to when I said that a lot of these scans are running pretty fast and that they're easily detectable, and the longer you wait, the less they're detectable. So the bigger time up to T5, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the faster it will go. So if I do a T5, you'll see that it takes um not as long as if I mean it would take faster than if I do like a T1, right? This makes it go faster. The faster it is, though, it can be inaccurate because it's not waiting for as long to get a response. So if it gets slowed down for whatever reason, right? Yeah, compared to a T2, you see how long it takes, right? But compared to the faster you go, right? Going back to what I was saying, the faster you go, sometimes it's just not waiting for the packet to come back. So if it takes extended period of time, then it might get inaccurate results, right? It took a little bit longer, but again, I'm only running it on a port, so it's not gonna take too much longer. But how do you actually defend against Nmap scans so that people on the outside cannot scan your stuff? The best way to do it is, it's not. Nmap is usually a more offensive tool. Like I said before, you're not really scanning internally to figure out what exists on your network because it shouldn't be on your network if you don't know that it's there, right? But um, even so, like, how do you defend against this from a cybersecurity defensive operator perspective, right? The actual SOC analyst or whatever the case, right? So, um, first thing I would say is like to make sure you're using a next gen firewall because that can detect Nmap scans pretty easily, and just block unknown requests from suspicious IPs. There's plenty of lists out there from known bad IPs, right? We can just block those immediately, and then also just thinking about the time frame. So like if you're a big company who has plenty of targets, and like certain people might take days to weeks to months to actually get into your network, you might want to start looking at those one-offs where they're just spinning a random SYN packet and not completing a connection. Every now and again, maybe check in on that, see that this consistently happen on all these different ports. They're slowly scanning. If it's happening like once every couple hours, it's not going to be as detectable as doing it again. I did 1,000 in the span of seconds, right? So just understanding that this also just disable unused ports and to reduce the attack surface. I see on my other, as you see on this asset that I was scanning, there are way too many. I cleared it already, but there are way too many ports open. You saw it was like looks like 20 or 30 ports open. Not necessarily. Not necessary for that device. It's not necessary for most work environments. So again, just reduce as many ports as possible. And then also installing something like an IDS, an intrusion detection system, to detect for scans and to detect for any other weird traffic. Look for weird. Um, End of the day, if you want to block stuff from a specific IP, you can update the firewalls and all that stuff. But to end off the video, that's basically Nmap in a nutshell. Whether you're a system admin, ethical hacker, or just learning cybersecurity, Nmap is a very useful tool. Again, like I said, for most hackerbox stuff, this is what I start with to scan the devices to see what is open. Um, I'm gonna end it off with a question: what Nmap command do you use the most? Drop it in the comments down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss on the next tech tutorial, and see you next time.